Hi, this is Craig Browdy. I'm here with John Hargreaves at the World Aquaculture Society meeting in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's very nice to be here and to have a chance to talk to John a little bit about success in aquaculture and the things he's learned over the years.
Thanks for the invitation to speak with you today. I have a career in aquaculture of more than 45 years. Spent about 11 years in the university as a researcher and a teacher. For the last 19 years, I've been an independent consultant and doing a lot of work in developing countries and working with farmers. I've had a lot of experience working with ponds and intensive systems in freshwater and marine systems, working with finfish and shrimp and shellfish, a lot of different things over a long career.
Wow, it's great to have you here and to be able to share your experience. I was wondering if I could ask you to give me some top three things when you go and you talk to farmers about how to make their farms more sustainable, not just from the impact of the environment kind of point of view, but more from the profitability and success point of view. What brings success to aquaculture farmers?
That's a great question, Craig. The first thing that comes to mind, I would say, is record keeping. I see many farmers that, really fall short in keeping records. There's a saying that you can't manage what you don't measure. And I think it's really important for farmers to begin to measure really important things on their farm. And, really we're talking about basic records, things like water quality and things like feed records, things about movement of animals onto the farm, stocking densities. And then, of course, when you keep records, you have to review them, and then you can make management decisions on future crops related to what you measured during the current crop.
Thank you. That's some very good advice for any kind of a farmer, particularly when it comes to the record keeping. And what about things like feeds and feeding and things that can affect the bottom line of the farm?
Yeah, for sure, though, I think that is important is you have to try to control costs. And I think the approach should be to make a list of all the cost items on the farm and then look at them all comprehensively to see where cost controls can be implemented. Of course, feeds are the most important cost item on most aquaculture farms, and feeding efficiently is really the key to profitability. And so I would definitely look at that, but there are many other areas, including seed and electricity and labor, obviously capital costs, the cost of borrowing money. All those are kinds of things to look at to try to control. And I think the third thing to really try to understand on your farm is to know what the carrying capacity of your ponds is. And that's kind of a difficult thing to understand. For many farmers, it's done by trial and error. Usually people understand carrying capacity in terms of the stocking density, and you don't want to have an excessive stocking density. But really, for me, the way I like to define carrying capacity is the maximum feeding rate that you can sustain more or less indefinitely. And that's not a fixed number. That varies a lot with the weather and with your water source. And it also varies importantly by your technology package. So it's not a fixed number, it's something that you can really change. Now, one of the important things about operating within your carrying capacity is that if you have good genetics, like you would get with SyAqua seed, that you cannot realize the genetic potential of those animals unless the environment in which they're grown is in good condition. In other words, you're operating within your carrying capacity. So understand what your maximum stocking density is. Don't get too greedy, and understand what your maximum feeding rate that you can sustain over the long term.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, John.
Sure thing, Craig. Good to be with you.